Hi, everybody. I'm Eric Bowling. Welcome to Cash It In. Our Cash It In crew this week: Wayne Rogers, Jonathan Honig, Kimberly Guilfoyle, and Juan Williams. Welcome, everybody. As Congress battles over whether we should attack Syria, we break down which would cost America more, getting involved or staying out completely in Syria. Kimberly, let's kick us off. I mean, we're going to spend a ton of money if we end up doing this.
And shouldn't we be purposeful about why we're doing it and what specific outcomes and objectives we would like to achieve? Right now, we're just burning fuel out there, waiting for a president who is indecisive, the waffler-in-chief, the equivocator, commander-equivocator. That's what we're waiting on right now. So you look at that economic cost, but then you also have to look at long-term. How are we going to get out of this? And is he willing to do what it takes to completely disable, dismantle Assad and his regime? I think the answer is no. That's why there's so much hesitation.
Great point. How do you get out? There's no exit strategy. At least it hasn't been presented yet. Wayne, let's talk about it a little bit. $1.5 million for each Tomahawk missile. I've heard numbers 200-300 Tomahawks get sent that way. $6.5 million for each destroyer group, each aircraft carrier, and there could be a couple in the region. We're talking a big, big bill.
Well, Eric, we do know for a fact that in Afghanistan we've already spent $655 billion. A billion is $1,000 million. We're spending it at the rate of $10.5 million an hour. Iraq has cost us $814 billion to date. We're spending it there at the rate of $824,000 an hour. If you get into this, it's going to cost you a lot of money, and nobody knows how much. They can't guess. Although at the same time, you got to remember, Senator Kerry testified before the Congress. Testified, and he said he has an offer on the table from the Saudis to fund all of this. So who knows? You know, you can believe Kerry. Huh?
Right. Hey, Juan, I've heard for years on the left, the last 12 years, in fact, since we've been in Afghanistan and some of the other wars we're involved in, that it's so much money, it costs us so much, we can't afford it. Now all I hear on the left is this is something we have to look away on the cost, and something we need to do.
No, I mean, in fact, you know, I didn't hear on the right anybody raising all this cost issue when we were talking about going into Iraq, going into Afghanistan. I don't think it's a relevant issue. It's a piddling amount of money. I mean, Wayne, a man who's experienced from MASH, he just told you the cost of what we've been doing in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and this is piddling by comparison. I think it's like $40 million for a carrier group out there in the Mediterranean every week. That's significant money, but it's not going to slow down the recovery. It's not going to send us back into recession. And it's, you know, given the instability in the Middle East and oil prices, I think it actually helps.
Well, okay, go ahead, Jonathan. Allow me to pose this question, Jonathan. Let me ask this question. Some of the other wars we've gotten involved in have a direct tie to America. I'm trying to find the tie to America that the Syrian conflict has.
Eric, I think that's just it. And by the way, Wayne actually served in the United States Navy, the real Navy, not just on TV as well. Americans, I think, would gladly pay any price, whether it's in their lives or in treasure, for American interests. But to sacrifice American kids, American treasure for these savage Islamists, I mean, is treasonous. As if, I mean, Senator Kerry, or excuse me, Secretary of State Kerry, it's like, should we take some solace in knowing that just a couple of the people we're helping are Al-Qaeda fighters? Our soldiers are not sacrificed. They're rational, they're self-interested, and to send them off to put in any element of harm's way for Al-Qaeda's children, I think is criminal.
KG, yeah. What about the Saudis saying and the Kuwaitis saying, you know, we'll finance this for you? Do we really want to be the paid, hired hitmen of the Middle East?
No, we're like the babysitter of the Middle East, the babysitter of uncertain jihad, who's on which side. And you brought up a great point in the beginning, in the open. The cost of freedom, theirs, not ours. What are the objectives here? What are we hoping to accomplish? And more than the billions of dollars that we have to go further and establish a no-fly zone, the cost of American lives. Where does this end? And I don't think it's foolish and naive to go in to think we can do a couple of strikes, flex our muscles, and walk away and call it a day. That is not realistic.
Yeah, and Wayne, Kimberly points out a very good point that you can't put a number on an American casualty. If we're to think that if we go into Syria and we do bomb Syria, that there won't be any repercussions, there won't be any other American casualties, that's kind of foolish thinking, is it not, Wayne?
It's stupid. Eric, you're absolutely right. Look, Hezbollah is with Assad, we know that. Al-Qaeda is with the rebels, we know that. Why not let them shoot each other? We have no selfish interest there to protect. It's just dumb. And the only thing it can do is, if we get in there, is upset the whole region. Listen, from 1815 Waterloo to 1914, the peace of the world was maintained by men who understood the balance of power. It is our job and in our selfish best interest to keep that balance of power the same in the Middle East. For us going in there, dumb.
All right, Juan, you said $40 million, and I've heard numbers thrown around by either General Dempsey or someone, Secretary Hagel, tens of millions of dollars. But everything I've seen, and go back through all the conflicts we've gotten involved with, the numbers are no short of billions of dollars to deploy our ships and send even just missiles. Where do we get off tens of millions of bucks?
Well, again, to me, this is a matter of national interest. We're not playing games here. Jonathan says, why are we defending Muslim children or something? Look, on the moral issue, and by the way, I don't attach cost to that. If you're talking about the use of chemical and biological weapons, that's a bad precedent to set for the entire world. They'll use that against us one day, and we should stop it now. But the national interest has to do with Iran. It has to do with the opposition from China and Russia. It has to do with the spread of sectarian violence that threatens our ally Israel. Those are national interests, and that we have no choice but to be involved.
Go ahead, John.
I agree with you, Juan. I mean, Iran, most certainly, Iran is the primary sponsor of jihadism around the world. That very much is our interest. So if the president actually wanted to use the military to help America, my thought is that he would be likely bombing Tehran, Iran, not getting involved in a civil war in Syria, which, to the panel's point, has no direct impact on the United States.
Jonathan, you want to escalate into a total war. I don't know why you want to take it to that extent.
Well, guys, what
I'm saying is this could simply signal, don't use chemical weapons, and Iran, don't you think about nuclear escalation against our ally Israel.
Hang in there for a second. Wayne, let's point something out. China, the Chinese Prime Minister has said that if America attacks Syria, that will undermine the global economy. That should be a concern, too.
Well, I think it is, Eric, but I don't think it's once again, it comes down to recognizing what is your selfish best interest to do. It is not in our selfish best interest to get involved in the Middle East on an active basis militarily. It is in our selfish best interest to help the balance of power in the Middle East by playing one off against the other. That helps the good old USA. That's who I'm interested in. I'm not interested in having a moral law or a moral issue about something. It's our selfish interest that we should look to, not any moral issue.
And we'll leave it right there.